The Entrepreneurial Journey podcast. We're talking business and building a culture that's kick-ass. Where we make it happen, grab your seat, let's have a blast. At the Entrepreneurial Journey podcast.
If you love the entrepreneurial journey, how about subscribing and giving us a 5-star review? Wherever you get your podcasts, follow or subscribe and give us a positive review so more entrepreneurs out there don't need to feel alone. Thanks.
Got it.
Hello and welcome to the Entrepreneurial Journey. Today I have... See, I knew I'd get this wrong. I've been practicing.
First hurdle, the name.
The name. Ola Lopatowska.
Yay! 10 out of 10.
I know. Hey, thank you. Right, Ola, amazing. Tell the world what it is you do and what you're in charge of.
Well, I run or co-run a whisky company based in Scotland, just outside Edinburgh. And we specialise in single malt Scotch whisky. And there's sort of 3 parts to the company, really. We are Stravaig Spirits, but we have 2 brands of our own, which is Carragh. And then we have another brand called Glenlaird. And then we also run bottling projects for companies who want to create their own brands. And we're also a cask broker. So 3 very separate parts of our whisky company, and there's just 2 of us.
Wow. That's incredible. 2 of you. And you punch way above your weight, because where were you last week? I saw a post on LinkedIn.
A couple of weeks ago, I was in South Korea.
Wow.
So that was with Glenlaird, which is our brand of single malt whiskey that is that we developed with our distributor out there. And it's doing very well.
Wow.
In South Korea. Very
phenomenal.
random.
Right. When you're at school, okay, and the careers teacher said, Ola, what do you want to be when you grow up? Did you at any point think, oh, I'm going to be in whiskey?
No, definitely not. I was not a whiskey fan anyway for
Right.
a long time. It was taught. I think when I was at school, I think I wanted to be a music teacher. Either a music teacher or something, I don't know, some sort of a teacher. I think. I can't remember. It was a long, long time ago. I probably changed my mind every day.
Did you play music?
I did. I played the violin for many, many years.
Right. Okay. All right. We were so relieved when our youngest daughter stopped playing the violin.
Yes.
It was so bad.
Yes.
It was so bad. Bless her.
It's not the kind of thing you want to hear a kid practicing in the home.
No.
Definitely not.
No. She tried the chanter for a while, and for those people who don't know the chanter, it's like the precursor to the bagpipes.
Oh.
Yeah, that was worse, I think.
Yes.
Yeah. Anyway, moving on to whiskey. How did you end up in the whiskey game?
So I think I don't know. Well, you'll probably remember back when I worked at Thrive, which is the networking company where we kind of originally met. One of the venues was the Scotch Malt Whisky Society in Edinburgh, and I eventually got a job there. And that was kind of my first sort of insight into Scotch whisky, single malt whisky, and very specifically single cask single malt whisky.
Right. Okay.
So that was my first step into whisky, and it's a whole different world. It's a whole different ballgame, and it's such an exciting industry. I think I kind of just got hooked at that point. But then, things happen in life, you move on, you do different things. But I always thought I might come back to whiskey, and that's actually what happened many years later. So
Very good. And what was that aha moment when you went, right, I'm gonna set up my own business?
Oh, I think it was probably during COVID. I think like a lot of people, when you're stuck at home and the world's gone completely crazy, you sort of start thinking about work-life balance and what makes you happy, and should you really be spending all your time working for somebody else? And I don't know, like, you just think there's got to be something else. This must be possible. you know, if other people can do it, why can't I?
Yeah.
And all those kind of thoughts creep in. You've got a lot of time to think during
Yeah.
COVID when there's nothing really else you can do. So that's sort of when we decided, both myself and my business partner, to start Stravaig Spirits and just give it a shot and see what happens.
And how did it begin? Where did you start? Because, you know, to me, obviously you had inside knowledge of the whiskey industry. From an outsider looking in, it's like, how the hell do you start a spirits company? You know, what did you begin with?
Um, so with whiskey, of course, I mean, it boils down to the contacts that you already have in the industry. So you have to have, I guess, the confidence that you'll have buyers and you'll have suppliers. So you got to start with that.
Okay.
And the first step is having your sort of accreditations in place, because you can't just sort of decide to trade alcohol, because
Right.
it's regulated. You have to have certifications. So you have to apply to HMRC for those. So that kind of process takes quite a long time. You have to have a business plan. You have to prove that you're a responsible person. You know, you will be able to be profitable, all those kind of things. So that whole process of getting that kind of accreditation takes about 6 months.
Wow.
You've got a lot of time to sort of put your business plan in place, speak to suppliers, speak to customers, I don't know, kind of build that base for your whiskey company before you actually go ahead and do anything and you actually start trading. So we registered the company, I think it was June or July 21, but we didn't actually start physically trading anything until January 2022, when we got our licenses in place.
Okay.
So it's
Wow.
it's quite a long, it's not like you just suddenly start, you know, making money. It's no, it's kind of like a slow but good. I think it's a good way to start.
Yeah, definitely. So in a way, that long process almost works in your favor because it gives you that time to plan, like you say, contact the suppliers and the distributors and people like that. It's also, looking at it, sort of quite high barriers to entry. That means that not everybody can do this. I'm guessing you can't have a license to trade alcohol if you've got a criminal record, for example.
Exactly. Yeah,
Right. Okay.
absolutely.
Okay.
And there's other things that you have to prove. I can't remember. There's three things. It's like profitable, reliable, and like ethical or moral or something like that. And
Right.
you kind of have to prove that in your application and your business plan. So it's quite stringent and
Mm.
quite rightly so. You know, you're kind
Yeah.
of you're essentially duty suspended. You know, you're not paying tax or VAT on it. It's,
Mm.
you know, the government obviously want that money and they want to make sure that they're going to get it eventually. So they have to make sure they're given those kind of licenses to the appropriate people and the appropriate companies, and not just willy-nilly.
Yeah, definitely. So do you, when you talk about the suspension of duty, do you hold things in a bonded warehouse then? Right. Okay.
Yeah,
I learned
exactly.
about bonded warehouses on a distillery tour many years ago.
Yeah.
And for those people who don't know, just explain what a bonded warehouse is. It's fascinating.
So in the whiskey industry, particularly in the sort of area that we're dealing with, which is casks or barrels of whiskey. So they're big containers, wooden containers that hold whiskey for many years, usually. They're kept in bonded warehouses, which are duty suspended storage places. And essentially, you don't pay any duty or tax until the liquid is removed from that storage warehouse. So it sits there for as long as it needs to, and only when it's removed, that's when you pay the duty and the tax on the alcohol that's within the cask at that
Not,
point of removal.
it's really, I find it fascinating that in our crazy world of business, you've got this line, the minute that alcohol, and it's not the whole liquid, it's just the alcoholic content of that liquid, it moves from this building to there, the government goes, right, you need to pay us now.
Yeah, absolutely. It's totally wild. And obviously for that reason, it's so closely monitored and guarded, and only certain people can really kind of work in that industry, which is good. But it just means a lot of red tape, a lot of hurdles, and a lot of learning. It's a very steep learning curve. I mean, you know, as someone with a purely sales background, I'm now kind of being thrust into more operational rules and regulations and things that just don't interest me, but I have to know about.
Yeah, definitely. So, okay, you've got your whiskey brand and you've got your relationships. How did you start exporting?
I'm trying to think now. Just winging it, really, speaking to a lot of people. I think when we first, like most people do, I think most of it is just winging it. I think from what I remember, I was in touch with the Department of Business and Trade. And there was a few relationships that I managed to develop through just kind of pestering them over and over and over. And some paid off and some didn't. And just like sales or business development, it's all about referrals and speaking to the right people. And a lot of it's timing and luck, really. That's how it boils. That's what it boils down to. So we first got a retailer distributor in Japan, and that was just a personal contact that I had from years before. And then we began working with a distributor in Canada. I can't even remember how that came about. Again, I think that was Instagram.
Was it? No way.
I think that was a relationship that was developed through Instagram. I know it blows my mind how these things happen, but if you're kind of out there and you're putting yourself out there and you're having all these conversations, then some things just kind of come off. And then with South Korea, the distributor, again, I think that was through the Department of Business and Trade, and there's a lovely lady called Sue over in South Korea who put me in touch with this importer and distributor, and they loved our brand Carragh, and they loved us as a company, and they really wanted to work with us, but they wanted such high volumes. They're like, right, so can we get a 20-foot container of bottles? And I was like, no, we deal in single cask. That's like 200, 300 bottles max for each release. No, like we don't have enough stock. So then we worked with them to create a whole new brand, which was Glenlaird.
Oh, right.
So, and obviously being a new company, when someone says, can you do this? You just go, yeah, no problem. And then you're like, shh, you need to figure out how to do that.
So, we'll work it out afterwards.
And so that's that was sort of our exporting journey. But with whiskey, with it being, you know, relatively high volumes, and tax and duty being as high as it is in the UK, our focus was always to develop those export markets as a source of kind of ongoing revenue. It's usually relatively easy. They'll take slightly larger volumes because kind of ship in batches. So it was always kind of our focus from the start. Develop the brand in the UK, but also get some good export customers to take a good chunk of the product.
Yeah, we were in Thailand recently. Whiskey's huge.
Yeah.
They love it. They sell it in the 7-Eleven. There's loads of it. There's a brand out there called Hong Thong, which did make us laugh quite a lot.
Love it. Yeah, and that's the thing with Scotch whiskey. It's almost you don't really have to. You do have to push it. Obviously, everybody has to push their own brand and their own product, but it's already got that heritage. It's already got that quality product kind of. Do you know what I mean? Like Scotland is a brand that people think like Scotland Scotch whisky, like straight away. So it's, you know, of all the sort of products and export products that you can have, like Scotch whisky is the most famous globally. So yeah, it's good fun. It's good thing to be involved in.
Yeah, when you're abroad, and if you say from Scotland, they'll go, "Oh, whiskey." I'm from Manchester, and they go, "Oh, Manchester United."
Yeah,
that's it. I mean,
that's it. That's exactly it. And that's kind of why we kept our brands, the brands that we do have, really traditional and really Scottish. Because Scotland as a brand is its own selling point. So why wouldn't we jump on the back of that bandwagon? Why would we do something more modern? Like, of course we could have, but as an extra selling point, keep it traditional, keep it really Scottish. I think it's kind of a no-brainer, and it's more chance of it being successful, hopefully.
Yeah, I agree. How is it going?
Really well. Yeah, really well. I mean, we've only been... So the brands themselves, Carragh is only a year and a half old. So we're brand new. We're a brand new company on the market, a brand new brand on the market. And Glenlaird's only, I think it launched in South Korea in November last year.
So really new.
And we've only just started selling it in the UK like 2 months ago.
Wow.
So they're still super, super new.
Yeah. So there's only two of you in the business. How do you divide the roles? Who does what?
We're very clear sort of roles, I think, which was kind of why we decided to go into business together in the first place. So Ryan, my business partner, he's sort of more responsible for the stock and the finance side of things, sort of dealing with the suppliers and the operational side, stuff like moving things around, the bottles, whilst I do the sales, business development, and the project management for clients for their bottling projects. So we do have quite separate roles, but then in the middle you've got the brands, and we kind of have to be both hands-on with those. So he'll act as the brand ambassador, he'll do all the whiskey tastings, he'll do the sort of like retailer tastings, barrel top tastings they call them. Well, I don't really get involved in that side of things. Although I know about whiskey and I know I like whiskey, I don't really know the intricacies of the production process, which he's much more knowledgeable about. And then we just sort of split the, I guess, retailer development and customer service side of things.
Okay, cool. Do you have a fallout?
I wouldn't say fall out. We definitely butt heads a lot. And we have very different views and very different ways of doing things. But I think that's healthy.
Yeah, I agree. I would totally agree.
There's a lot of heated discussions. But we always manage to arrive at a kind of compromise, which I think is really good.
Yeah, I think that's the sign of a really good business relationship, is that you can disagree, because otherwise you end up being quite bland. It's like you get your ideas and your innovation from those disagreements, don't you? And you find a way forward from them.
Yeah, I think so. And yeah, I'm very cautious, and I can be a little bit negative sometimes. And I know that I totally see that in myself. Proceed with caution, really, you know, like just have to make sure everything's 100% before move forward with anything, reluctantly, while he's kind of super positive, everything's going well, everything's great, like rose-tinted glasses, which is infuriating, but I think you kind of have to have those viewpoints as well.
Yeah, you do. You really do. I have that with my brother. I work with my brother, so he's the doom and gloom, and I'm like, it'll be fine.
Oh, I feel so bad for him. No. No, I can see, yeah, it does work though, doesn't it? It's
Yeah, it does. You need
kind of
both.
have to have that perspective or two sides to
Yeah, you really do. So where are you going to take the business? Where's it heading?
So this is the thing, we kind of didn't really envisage it being as successful as it has been in such a short space of time.
Ah,
Um, and we kind of assumed it would just be the two of us, we would just continue with the brands, and then that would be that. But sort of inadvertently, we've sort of created a little bit of a monster, and we realized that we can't continue with it just being the two of us. It's just
right.
it's not possible.
Okay.
Even if we don't grow any bigger, it's not doable.
Right.
It's not doable. So we are looking to, I've been saying this for about 6 months, we are looking to take on staff, but it's such a big decision and it's such a scary decision,
Mm-hmm.
relinquishing that control. I am a total control freak.
Okay.
But I do understand it's necessary. And then inevitably what happens with kind of similar businesses, we've seen it with a lot of our competitors and friends, warehousing, we're going to have to look at getting our own bonded warehouse
Okay.
for storage, just to make our kind of operations easier and more streamlined. So yeah, growth is inevitable. But yeah, it's a really scary prospect. It's a really scary prospect, but kind of exciting at the same time.
It is. I can see the discomfort in your face, Ola, that it's like, oh, I know we've got to do this and I've got to bite the bullet and crack on
Yeah.
with it. But you're the sort of person that will plan it carefully. You'll find the right person, you'll have worked it all out, and you'll make the right decision without a shadow of a doubt.
And then inevitably what happens with kind of similar businesses, we've seen it with a lot of our competitors and friends, warehousing, we're going to have to look at getting our own bonded warehouse
Okay.
for storage, just to make our kind of operations easier and more streamlined. So yeah, growth is inevitable. But yeah, it's a really scary prospect. It's a really scary prospect, but kind of exciting at the same time.
It is. I can see the discomfort in your face, Ola, that it's like, oh, I know we've got to do this and I've got to bite the bullet and crack on
Yeah.
with it. But you're the sort of person that will plan it carefully. You'll find the right person, you'll have worked it all out, and you'll make the right decision without a shadow of a doubt. And it'll free you up so much. You'll look back and go, how the hell did I do as much as I was doing?
Yeah. Yeah. And I know that, and I know that. But it's like, I mean, like I said, I've known this for 6 months and I've still not just pressed the go button on it.
It took me a year. We've got Alison, we've had Alison, she only works 20 hours a week. And she's always been a freelancer. So in my mind, it was like, well, freelance, that's fine, only 20 hours a week, I can cope with that. But then it got to the point where we really had to take on a full-time person, because last summer, before I went on holiday, I was so burnt out, I couldn't speak for 2 days. I was so exhausted. I went, I can't carry on like this, because I'm just going to fall over. And we got somebody, and it was our first full-time proper employee, and I crapped myself, Ola. It was like
But what was it? Is it the responsibility of having, somebody relying on you in the business, or was it the expense of another full-time person? What was the kind of
It was both those things, and it was also that this isn't my first rodeo. So when I ran the recruitment business, we had 14, 15, 16 staff. I lose count now. 99% of those experiences were fantastic. 1% almost gave me PTSD about having employees. One of us did take us to a tribunal because I got one word wrong in a letter to her. I mean, literally one word wrong, and we had to give her, and she was the laziest. I know. Anyway, we'll go down that road. Because I'll end up just swearing too much. And I'd spent 9 years on my own as a coach and consultant going, I'm never having an employees. I'm never having an employees. It was too much of a headache, blah, 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 blah. So to have an employee was like, brought all that back. And then I thought, no, you're older, you're wiser, you're going to do it differently. Lauren is absolutely fantastic. I was really careful about laying out who we wanted.
Yeah.
I was very specific in that, like, they couldn't be too PC. They had to be a mind reader. They had to love admin. They had to put up the fact that I do swear from time to time and that we don't take ourselves too seriously. So I really laid it on thick. Is like you can't be a corporate-y type person because you're not going to survive.
Yeah.
We found Lauren. She lives in Spain. She works remotely. She's absolutely fantastic. Couldn't run the business without her. But it was all of those things you've described: the expense, the responsibility, blah blah blah. But I couldn't have done it without her.
Yeah.
So yeah, you
Yeah.
kind of have to.
But this is the thing, like it's the horror stories that you remember when people are telling you, I've met so many business owners over the years that have had those initial experiences of taking on staff where it's just gone horribly wrong. You don't remember the good stories, but you remember the ones that ended in tribunals and all of those disasters. So that's kind of, I guess that's just the fear. I've got so much on my plate already. I just don't need like one extra thing to go wrong.
Hire slow, fire fast.
Yes, yeah. Oh yes, this is good. This is good advice. I've heard that before. That is good.
Without a shadow of a doubt, hire somebody that does all the things you hate doing and loves. So Lauren loves all the scheduling and the admin, and she does all our social media and our content. She loves it. I hate it with a passion.
Does she want to come work for me?
No, you can't poach her.
Sounds great.
She's really good. And she just gets on with it. So yeah, but be really clear and go, I want somebody who likes doing this.
Yeah.
If you don't like doing this, please don't bother applying. And if you're too politically correct, or you can't stand a bit of swearing, or you're oversensitive, don't apply because you're gonna hate it.
Yeah.
So if you like a laugh and you can work with a couple of nutters from Manchester, jobs are good. And
oh, that's good. And how long ago was that?
That's a year ago. I'm about to do her appraisal today.
You've even got an appraisal.
Yeah, listen, I'm a coach and a consultant for business. I have to practice what I preach, Ola. It's like, if I don't do that for my own team, what kind of leader am I?
True, fair, totally fair.
I'll send you. I've got 3 really simple things that I've sent out to Alison and Lauren. I'll send them to you. They're dead easy. And it's what I share with my leaders when I teach them stuff. And you don't need anything complicated. People overcomplicate things all the time.
Yeah.
It's just I've got 2 little wheels where they kind of mark how they're feeling and what I'm doing and all that. And then a little questionnaire. That's it. And then we discuss it.
Fab.
That's it.
It's good.
Send it to you.
Thank you.
So you're equipped. Brilliant. All right. So I ask this of everybody these days: if your business had a personality or a character, either how would you describe it or who would it be?
Oh my God.
Mm-hmm.
If my business was a personality or a character?
Yeah. Either what kind of personality traits would it have, or is there like a person or a fictitious or real person or cartoon that you think, oh, it's just like them?
Is there a fictitious character that
Or
has
real?
ADHD? I don't
Okay.
know.
Plenty.
Well, that would be it.
Okay.
I mean, Stravaig Spirits is the word Stravaig, and I don't know if it's Gaelic or just Scots language. It means to roam aimlessly, to
Okay.
aimlessly roam.
Right.
So that's kind of how we started out, you know, having no real plan or no idea of how the industry was going or how the company was going to progress or what was really going to happen. And we sort of continue on that way. I mean, obviously we have plans and processes and sort of dreams and growth in place, but we still have that ability to be flexible and sort of jump on opportunities and roam somewhere new if the opportunity was to arise. So I quite like that. I think it's quite fitting, like the company name with
Right.
kind of what we've become. And I kind of hope it'll remain that way in a lot of ways.
Sounds like you're a free spirit.
So I think so.
Yeah, nice. And what's your purpose? What drives you? What's your dharma?
I think I just want to enjoy what I do.
Mm-hmm.
That's the most important thing, you know. And I want the company to succeed, however that may look, whether that's with me being involved in the future or not, or whatever. I do want to see the brands really become something special.
Mm-hmm.
I love the idea of them being, you know, in the most random places all over the world, like a bar in Singapore or a restaurant in Australia. And it's not, I don't know what it is. Like I've always loved travel and new experiences and cultures and all that kind of stuff. And it's not necessarily a sort of ego thing.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know, it's just it's a little proud thing. I can't really explain it. I can't explain it.
It's exciting. It's like you've created something. I don't know, you might not agree with this analogy, but for me it feels like you write a book and you spot a completely random stranger on the other side of the world with a copy of your book.
Yes.
Yeah.
How cool is that? You're just like, oh, that is so cool.
Yeah.
That's my little, I love that little kudos.
Yeah. Nice one.
You know, they don't have to know me, they don't have to know the company. As long as they know and like and enjoy the brand, then job done for me. I've enjoyed doing it. I've always been a bit creative, so it's a kind of outlet for my creativity, I suppose.
Yeah.
So that's it, and just having fun along the way. That's the most important thing. You're here for a short time, so you might as well enjoy it.
Absolutely, 100%. Right. Brilliant, Ola. Thank you so much for that. I really appreciate it. When's the next trip abroad?
No plans.
Right.
No plans yet.
Right.
Not work-wise anyway. I do have a couple of holidays planned. Yeah, I took my first proper week holiday to Spain with some friends last week.
Well done.
And that was the first time I had a proper week off, as in didn't have Wi-Fi, so couldn't work or anything. And it was game changer, total game changer.
Brilliant.
So
top tip for business owners out there.
Absolutely.
Take time out.
Absolutely. Definitely.
Yeah, brilliant. Thank you so much.
Thanks very much.
Take care.
The Entrepreneurial Journey podcast. We're talking business and building a culture